Ever sit at your desk, staring at your screen, completely stuck, and have no idea why? Yeah, me too. And probably half the people you work with. I'm David Hofstetter, and I coach professionals who feel overwhelmed and unsure how to become trusted leaders. And one of the biggest issues I see, people getting stuck not because they're not capable, but because there's something blocking them, and they can't quite figure out what it is. So today, I'm breaking down the top 3 reasons you might be feeling stuck at work, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. So let's dive in. The first one, fear. I'm not talking about the dramatic, obvious fear. I'm talking about the subtle stuff. Fear of making the wrong decision, fear of failing, fear of looking incompetent in front of your team or your boss. And here's what this looks like in real life. You've got a project that needs a decision. You know you need to move forward, but instead of choosing, you keep gathering more information. You tell yourself you're being thorough, but really, you're stalling. You're procrastinating. Because if you don't make a decision, you can't make the wrong decision. This is analysis paralysis, and it's one of the biggest reasons smart, capable people get stuck. I had a client once, let's call her Sarah. She was stuck on a vendor decision for weeks. She kept saying she needed more data, more proposals, more opinions. But when we dug into it, she was terrified of picking the wrong vendor and having it blow back on her credibility. The fear wasn't about the decision. The fear was about what people would think if she was wrong. And here's the thing about fear-based stuckness. The decision itself is rarely as scary as you think. What's scary is the story you're telling yourself about what happens if you're wrong. So here's what you can do. Ask yourself, what's the worst realistic outcome if I make a wrong call here? Not the catastrophic fantasy version, but the realistic version. Usually, it's not that bad, and once you name it, the fear loses its grip. Then ask, what's the cost of not deciding? Because staying stuck has a cost too. Your time, your energy, your credibility, your team's momentum. So make the best decision you can with the information you have, and you can always course correct, and that's what good leaders do. Number 2, you're burnt out. And here's the tricky part. Burnout doesn't always look like collapsing on the floor. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it just looks like stuck. You're staring at your to-do list. You know what needs to happen, but your brain feels like it's moving through mud. You can't think clearly. You can't prioritize. Everything feels hard. That's not laziness. It's not a lack of motivation. That's you running on empty. I see this all the time with managers I train and coach. They're working 50, 60-hour weeks, putting out fires, jumping from meeting to meeting, and then they wonder why they can't focus when they finally sit down to do strategic work. Your brain doesn't have infinite fuel. When you're stressed and burnt out, your cognitive resources are drained, and when that happens, even simple tasks feel impossible. The hard truth, you can't think your way out of burnout. You can't productivity hack your way out of it. You actually need to rest and recharge. Here's what helps. First, recognize what's happening. You're not broken. You're depleted. Second, take breaks, real breaks. Not scrolling Instagram while eating lunch at your desk. I mean stepping away from the work. Third, and this is the one people resist, you might need to let something go. Not forever, just for now. And what you can do, prioritize, delegate, or delay. I know that feels impossible, but if you're too burnt out to make progress on anything, then you're not actually going to get it done anyways. You're just suffering staring at it. So give yourself permission to scale back so you can actually move forward. And number 3, and this is the one people don't want to admit, you don't like your job, or at least you don't like the project you're on. You don't like the role, or you don't like a specific assignment. And here's why that makes you feel stuck. It's really hard to find motivation to solve a problem when you just don't care about the outcome. Maybe you're in a role that doesn't use your strengths, or you're working on something that feels meaningless, or you've outgrown the position, or you're just plain bored. And every task feels heavier because you're dragging around this background weight of, why am I even doing this? I had a client who was stuck on a presentation for weeks. Smart guy, totally capable, but he couldn't get it done. When we finally talked it through, he admitted, I hate the work. I don't care about the product, and I feel like I'm wasting my time. Once he said it out loud, everything else made sense. Here's the thing, you can't fake caring, and you can't force yourself to be motivated about something that just doesn't matter to you. But you can get honest about what's happening and make a choice about what's to do next. And so here's what to do. First, get honest with yourself. Is this a temporary project you just need to push through? Or is this a bigger problem with the role itself? Can you find one thing in the project that will help drive you and motivate you? Maybe. And if it's temporary, find a way to make it tolerable. You can delegate part of it, you can set a hard deadline, and you can just get it done so you can move on. But if it's the job itself, you need to start thinking about your next move. That doesn't mean quitting tomorrow, but it does mean getting clear on what you actually want and starting to move toward it. Because staying stuck in a role that doesn't fit is just frustrating. It's exhausting, and life's way too short for that. So there you have it. Fear and analysis, paralysis, burnout and stress, not liking your job. Those are three of the top reasons you might be feeling stuck. So here's the good news. Once you know why you're stuck, you can do something about it. And if you want help with that, I've created a free guide called the 3-Question Reset. It's 3 simple questions that will help you cut through the noise and get clarity on what's actually blocking you and what you can do next. The link is in the description below. It takes about 5 minutes to work through, and it's helped a ton of people get unstuck and moving forward again. If this was helpful, hit the subscribe button. I post new videos every week or so about leadership, clarity, and how to manage without losing your mind. Drop a comment. Let me know which of the 3 resonated with you most. And I'd love to hear your story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.